Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. A scripture that's constantly appropriate to read when concerning E. Call halal Yahweh B'Shem Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth. All right, to the few Akwath that are listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And we're going to focus on three words: the word narrative, the word story, and the word forge or forgers. All right, so we're going to play this video from Redacted called "He's Exposing the Truth About the 9/11 Hijackers, and They Don't Like It." And we know who the they is. The they are the elites of E. All right. And that was the last great trick that E played, and it actually got torn apart within the first couple of days. But I think this laid the groundwork of why they were able to do the whole medical thing, because they realized how sheeple are sheeple meaning the average American citizen, average Western citizen, the average one, are really quite simple and just believeth anything, and they don't even question when someone comes on the television on the screen and tells them that 1 + 1 = 3, all right, or that 2 + 2 = 5, and they would tell them that, and they will run with it, even though the science and the evidence is usually against what is being told, the narrative. The people still believe in the lies, all right, and a part of it has to do with racism, because some people are so hateful and racist and think that they're and E thinks that they're such pious, just these amazing people and givers to the world, that they gave the world everything, math, science, etc., that they would never, my government, my people would never do anything like that. But you have to remember that E's entire existence is all based upon rape, robbery, murder, and theft. Land theft, the theft of heritages and identities, right? Murder, rape, all in the name of a Christian, of a so-called white Christian God. All right? This is how they got everything that they have today. That's how they got wealthy. Not because of great inventions and they control the patent office. They control, right? Most of the things that made America great were built by its small citizen, its minorities. I mean, just here in America, just the everyday things like, the traffic light, the refrigeration, air conditioning, heating, toilets, washing machine, things that are the cell phone, the components of this very computer and the internet. These were all made by people of color, mainly so-called Negroes. But you would never know it, because they always talk, when it comes to the internet, all you hear is about is Steve Jobs and Mr. Gates of Hell. All right, those are the names that pop up when it comes to these things. And what's probably used every day more than anything, the tracking, the positioning, global positioning, GPS, that was created by a so-called black woman. But yet, you have these racist, hateful people that say, well, you people, you're trying to steal our heritage and change history. No, you lied about history. And you lied about our heritage. And had your forefathers told the truth, you wouldn't have these preconceived, these false narratives in your head, preconceived notions that you're something that you're not. All right? Because I would tell you, and I always tell you, you were not the Spartans. You were not the Greeks. You were not the British. You were not the Irish. You were not the Scots. You were the wild men. All right? You were the wildlings. Just like they showed you in that television show, The Game of Thrones. All right. You know, there's a 15th century tapestry with these Negroes, so-called Negroes, defending a castle from these white men, these so-called white men that are barbarian type, the guys with sticks and spears coming out of woods, and these very sophisticated castle dwellers with iron weapons and bows and arrows defending it from them. All right. That was them Quest for Fire guys. All right. Quest for Fire wasn't 100,000 years ago. It was a little over 1,000 years ago. Onto your belly you went. The curses fell upon the serpent, Esau, Edom. All right. Who was Cain in the rebirth? If you understand the spirit, the serpent seed. All right. Rome fell and they were forced up into the Caucasus Mountains, Job the 30th chapter. All right. And they became basically a no people, grunting, living in caves. The very word Caucasian means cave dweller. All right. So we're going to listen to a couple of Caucasians. At least they look as if they were Caucasians, because you have to remember, all nations got scattered. The Israelites were scattered among all people. All right. And then the Edomites went around, mixing and mingling themselves with everybody. So you have chocolate covered Edomites. All right. On the screen, you have Ishmael, you have Ham, and you have Israel, all Muslims. All right. You can see that the image below, all different shades of brown. Well, guess what? Esau raped, robbed, and murdered all the people that you see on the screen, and planted his seed in the women of all these people. So guess what? You have melanin-covered, chocolate-covered Edomites. All right. That's why the Lord's going to send back the angels to unscramble the madness and sift the Israelites out of all the places where they were scattered to. So the Israelites among the Chinese that look Chinese, among the Japanese that look Japanese, among the Hamites that look African, among the Arabs that look Arab, among Elam that look like Elamites, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So now that we got all that out the way, that was my angry rant. Truthful though. I'm going to play about the first 6 minutes of this video. Hopefully it goes straight to the video and not a damn commercial.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And thank you for shining a light on this story, because the official narrative is one thing, but what really happened that day is a completely other thing altogether, from your years of research, pulling these threads and, doing what, frankly, journalists have not done. And you've done all of the hard work. So I guess let's start with
Many journalists did prove that the official narrative is very sketchy and facts didn't add up, but those journalists were silenced and their footage or their information was silenced along with them.
What are we led to believe about the hijackings of those aircraft? What is the official narrative that started you down this path?
Well, the official narrative of 9/11 is composed of reports by the 9/11 Commission, and then for the World Trade Center, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. But overall...
So they put together a commission, a group, to give a narrative. Everything in American history, everything in the news is a narrative. You got to remember, when you're watching the daily news, you're watching history in the making. Whatever happens in that news is going to go into the history books, into the archives. And probably about 99% of it is a controlled narrative. This is the definition of narrative from, let's pull it up on the screen. All right. This is the Winston Simplified Dictionary. All right. 1934. All right. That one, they want 180 for that one. They must be in good shape. I actually own this book. I also have the 1925. All right. And anyway, here's the definition of narrative. And it reads, the art of storytelling. That was definition 1. A recital of a story or event. All right. A story or a tale pertaining to or the nature of storytelling. All right. The story, account, tale, narration relation. So it's the telling of a story, a controlled narrative. Keep that in mind. It didn't say the facts of what happened. The word fact was never mentioned in the definition of narrative, not once. All right? All right? It's not once was it mentioned. All right, so let's go back.
Well, the 9/11 Commission report is seen as the official account for what happened on 9/11. And interestingly enough, it doesn't go into a lot of detail on what happened that day. There's 571 pages, and only about 90 pages of the report talk about what happened that day. The rest is really about the myth of Al Qaeda.
And I must say, the Representative Michael Cox and the Edomite that's fulfilling Psalm 64:8, so that their tongue shall fall upon themselves. As you can see, there's no such thing as white people. These men are red. All right, his shirt is white. His skin is not. There's no such thing as a white person. They made that up in 1681. I can't see it enough. And that was made up to do what? To control a narrative. They created a narrative. All right. And what really angers me is you still have people foolish enough to refer to themselves as black. And when their skin is physically and visibly brown, they still call themselves black. Pure ignorance.
And what we should do about the enemy, Al Qaeda. So I think most people know that the crimes of 9/11 were blamed on 19 young Arab alleged hijackers.
Many of them the same color as so-called Negroes, but they don't call because probably about half of these guys on this screen are darker than I am. But you'll still have someone stupid enough to refer to me as a black person. All right. Wow.
15 of them were from Saudi Arabia, 2 from the United Arab Emirates, and 1 from Egypt, 1 from Lebanon. And interestingly enough, then that led us to invade Afghanistan and Iraq.
So let's look at a map. All right, let's look at a map of Western Asia. There's no such thing as a Middle East. That's another lie in a controlled narrative. All right. So he said Saudi Arabia. All right, let me see if I can use this pen as a pointer. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. All right. Egypt. But they attacked Iraq. Why? Why Iraq? Right? Because it was the start of something. Okay? It really makes no sense. It would be like attacking your neighbor across the street for what your neighbor next door to you did, if that makes sense. All right? It was a controlled narrative. And then they got all these movies and series, and I was just watching a movie about some interpreter, and well, they're going into Afghanistan. They attacked in there too, Afghanistan and Iraq, and they're killing and murdering people, and then they're making movies out of these people, calling them heroes, when you're invading the people and then referring to them as insurgents and terrorists just for defending themselves because you're kicking in their doors, and now their sons are gay and their daughters are twerking. They didn't want your democracy. All right.
But these 19 Arab hijackers were said to be fundamentalist Muslims, intent on paying the United States and the financial world back for crimes against Muslim countries. And ultimately, this report doesn't hold up to even really cursory examination. The report is built on very poor investigative procedures, although they said it was the fullest possible accounting of what happened on 9/11. The truth is they left out a lot of information.
Okay, so let's stop right there and let's go to the word. What was our other word? We got narrative. Other word was forge, right? Or we'll go to story first. All right, let's go to story. You said the story didn't hold up. So this is back in the Winston Simplified Dictionary. All right, I don't need to put it on the screen again. 1934. Actually, minus 1933. And I'm going to read the second definition because the first definition is about stacking buildings, rooms on top of each other. So the second definition, story, it says historia, inquiry, all right? A connected account of the past, all right? Of the past, history, definition 2. The narration of real or imagined events in prose or verse, a short tale of romance, also an anecdote, a plot or narrative, the facts about something, one or something, whether told or not. Okay, they did mention facts at one time. A report on something, whether told or not, a report or statement or rumor. Falsehood. In statement, rumor. In the United States, an article written for a newspaper, they give you a definition, right? It said in falsehood, and then it goes right into this definition. In the United States, any article written for a newspaper, storytelling, one who relates tales or anecdotes, I need to look that word up. A liar, a person who tells falsehoods. Close the book, drop the mic on him. Damn. Woo. Okay, let's let them continue. They're like,
They didn't report testimony of people like Sibel Edmonds, the FBI translator, who had a lot to say. William Rodriguez, the janitor at the World Trade Center, who talked about explosions going off in the lower levels of the building. Didn't mention World Trade Center 7 at all. It didn't go into the insider trading that was flagged by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
damn.
Didn't talk about how the hijackers really were able to commandeer these aircraft. They just appeared in the cockpits and suddenly were able to fly these planes. So, there's a lot about the alleged hijackers, though, that it's really important to know. First of all, that they were not fundamentalist Muslims by any means. And the investigative journalism that went on, even in the mainstream media after 9/11,
Wow.
in the LA Times and Newsweek and so forth, made it clear that these young men were not fundamentalist Muslims. They like to drink a lot. They like to go to nude bars. These are things that Muslims just don't do.
That's right. Maybe the Fruit of Islam guys do stuff like that. All right, but the actual, Muslims that are really into their religion, I've known quite a few. All right, and the ones who are really into it, they're kind of boring guys. They don't do stuff like that.
Recently, a great 9/11 investigator by the name of Daniel Hofziger died, and he did a lot of work to reveal who these alleged hijackers really were, especially in the state of Florida, where they did training at flight schools that seemed to be associated with CIA operations.
And I've heard stories, that there's been times where some of these guys actually stood up in gatherings and showing, look, I'm still alive. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. I've heard that. So,
And they did drugs and they dated strippers and they went to the go-go clubs. And so, these are not fundamental Muslims. They also were not very skilled, the alleged hijackers. So they did attend here and there throughout the country training schools for asking to train to fly Boeing airliners. And it was clear that they did not do very well. And their trainers were very suspicious of what happened, in some cases even questioning whether the certificates they had obtained were real. So, and then finally, they could not have accomplished, these alleged hijackers just could not have accomplished most of what needs to be explained. On 9/11, for about 2 hours, our air defenses failed. And for 2 hours, our chain of command failed within the military. And as we know, from a previous guest that you had on, Ted Walter from our organization, the World Trade Center buildings were demolished. And these 19 young men were just not in a position to pull off all of these crimes. So, that's really the problem, that the official accounts are false,
Damn.
and the accused men were not really capable, despite being.
All right, we'll stop there. All right, let's go to that was enough, because I'm hoping that I don't get my strike or something just for, because this video will remain up, but mine will be pulled down. I'll get a strike on my channel. You brothers, my fellow laborers, you know how that goes. But this is in the Winston Simplified Dictionary, the definition of forge. I'm going to start with forger, and it says, one who makes a false document, for the purpose of fraud, one who heats or shapes metal. So we know it's not talking about, but damn, metal did get heated up and melted or was blown away. There was a lot of heat going on. But let's read that again. Definition 1 from forger. It said, you are forgers of lies. I'm going to read that scripture again. But it says, because I don't even really need to read the others. It says, which are all similar. All right. It says, one who makes a false document for the purpose of fraud. All right. Forgery is right beneath it. It says, the act of making with the intent to defraud a false or counterfeit document, as a check falsely. All right. So you had a 9/11 commission. All right. Let's go back to the scriptures. Get a couple. Actually, three real quick. First one will be we'll read Job 13:4 again. But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value. So they purposely commit fraud to rule over, control the people, the control of a false narrative. And that's what, like I said, 99% of E's history. All right. I just the brother Kazak Yahweh has sent me an article that was talking about this what does it say? 37,000-year-old Babylonian stone tablet gets translated, changes history. All right, because these Edomites lie. All right, it says they were doing trigonometry 1,500 years before the Greeks. All right, Dr. Daniel Mansfield and his team at the University of New South Wales in Australia have just made an incredible discovery while studying a 37-year-old tablet from the ancient civilization of Babylon. All right, which is in Western Asia. All right, where Iraq is today, very place they wanted to destroy. Maybe they wanted to go in and destroy all these artifacts like they were doing, so that their narratives could hold up all these false Edomite and white power, narratives. All right. It says they found evidence that the Babylonians were doing something astounding, trigonometry. All right. So all those brown people you saw on the screen were doing trigonometry before these red people who falsely call themselves white were even a thing. All right. Because because the Greeks were also melanated people. They took over Greece. That history is accounted. Not only is it accounted in encyclopedias, but it also is written in the book of the Maccabees in the Bible. Most historians have credited the Greeks with creating the study of triangles, sides, and angles, but this tablet presents indisputable evidence that the Babylonians were using this technique 1,500 years before the Greeks ever were. So Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is a liar, man. Point blank, period, man. Shameful spewing upon his glory. All right. He wants to be everything except Esau Edom. All right. And that's exactly who he is. This is Luke 8:17. And it reads, for nothing in secret shall be made manifest, neither anything for nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. All right, let's go shoot over to Luke 12:2. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be made known. So, shameful spewing is upon the glory of Esau Edom, man, and he is going to be found to be the Edomites. All right? Shameful spewing upon his glory. We're witnessing the downfall of Esau Edom. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash Wa Abba Kwam Yasharala Shalom.